so sick of reality TV.
Good morning, everyone. It's Rita Smith, the #1 food fairy, and this morning we're going to be working on one of my favorite recipes, beef bourguignon. My kids have been eating this their whole entire life. I never told them there was wine in it because they wouldn't eat it otherwise, but they've always loved it, as everyone has always loved it since the beginning of time, I think. It's a very old French recipe and made famous by Julia Child. Her beef bourguignon, I think, was the very first cooking show she ever did, and she introduced North Americans to the whole concept of tenderizing inexpensive cuts of beef with red wine. So in my beef bourguignon, there's going to be bacon. There's always bacon in beef bourguignon. Of course, there's going to be beef. I got some pretty good inexpensive marinating steaks. I'm going to cube that. There's onions. There's carrots. There should be a huge pile of fresh white mushrooms here. I haven't bought those yet. So I'm going to get this cooking in the stove and I'll run into town. I'll buy the mushrooms. I'll put them in after. But there are always mushrooms in beef bourguignon. Garlic, and I don't chop my own garlic. I'm going to use Durley chopped garlic. I'm going to put some fresh thyme in from my window box, my garden window box, winter garden. Fresh thyme is an important flavor in beef bourguignon. And then, of course, red wine. I like to buy the Tetra Paks. They're reasonable. They have a nice flavor. You can pick a flavor that you like. Remember, if you don't like the taste of the wine, you won't like the taste of the stew. So pick a flavor that you like, but don't buy something very expensive, because after it's been in the oven for 5 or 6 or 7 hours with the garlic and the onion, anything that's delicate about the flavor will be long gone. So buy something hearty that you like the flavor, but don't go crazy on the budget. So bacon, beef, onions, carrots. We'll get more mushrooms later. Thyme, red wine, and garlic. We're going to start with the bacon because everything after the bacon gets fried in the bacon fat. I'll pour some off to reserve it for later, but I will cube the beef and brown it in the bacon fat. I'll brown the onion in the bacon fat, the mushrooms and the garlic. So everything that goes into the Dutch oven for the beef bourguignon is going to have a fantastic, crisped bacon coating on it before it gets into the pan with the red wine and onions. And doesn't that just sound fantastic? Okay, let me come back when I get the bacon on the pan and we'll start working with that. Okay, here we are at the frying pan, the cast iron frying pan that actually fries. And I have fried 1 pound of bacon. I'm gonna take the bacon out and drain it. I'm gonna reserve some of the fat for future cooking, but in the meantime, I'm gonna brown the beef, which I have cubed, in the bacon fat, and I'm going to brown the onions as well. I'll do the beef first. Okay, so there you go. That's nicely cooked bacon. You can't smell it, but you can hear it. And as Jim Gaffigan says, bacon even sounds happy when it's cooking because it's saying, "Yay, bacon, yay, bacon." That's what bacon sounds like when it's cooking. So we are going to, we're going to take advantage of every bit of bacon flavor that we can while trying to eliminate, you know, some of the bacon fat in our beef bourguignon recipe. So that is, ooh, look, a pound of fried bacon. I am going to get one of my favorite Pyrex measuring cups, and I will pour off the bacon into the measuring cup, because we only want to use as much as we need to use to brown the beef and the onion. We don't want to use any more. So I'm going to leave a tablespoon or so in the pan, and I'm going to reserve this off to the side either for different elements of this recipe or something in the future, frying eggs and other things in the future. Ooh, Brussels sprouts, bacon fat for a Brussels sprout hash. Just a tablespoon or so of bacon in a cast iron pan, and you put your steamed Brussels sprouts in and toss them with onions and maybe some hot sauce. Brussels sprout hash, fried in a tiny bit of bacon fat. Tiny bit is just outstanding. Okay, so I have here quite a fair amount of diced beef. It's going to be about 4 pounds at the end of the day, I think. And I am going to brown that in the pan because what browning does is it sears the outside of the meat. It'll lock in some of the juices and the flavors and give it a great flavor and allow it to tenderize in the wine. while it's in the oven, becoming beef bourguignon. So here's a representative sample of the beef. It is by no means all of the beef. I have salted it. Put a little bit of salt on there. And in as many batches as it takes, I'm gonna brown the cubed beef in the bacon fat, and then I will come back and do the onions. This is gonna take a few minutes in total, so I don't need to bore you with the whole thing, but our cubed beef is now searing and browning in the very hot bacon fat. Okay, so I'm on my last batch of cubed beef. It was about 4 pounds of beef. A lot of liquid comes out of the beef itself, actually, which is not necessarily what you want, because you want the meat to brown, not steam. But anyway, there's nothing I can do about what comes out of the beef. So that is all going to go into the Dutch oven, and I'm going to let some liquid evaporate off of this pan. Actually, maybe I'll help that along with paper towel. I'm going to let some of the liquid evaporate, and then I'm going to add a little bit more bacon fat. I'll add a bit more bacon fat so that we get the pan actually frying again. And then I will, I'll add the onions, and toward the end of browning the onions, I'll toss in the garlic. The garlic browns in only a very few seconds, so you don't need it to to be in the pan for very long. Oh, and then the other thing I'll add is I have 1 can of mushrooms. I'm going to add those, but I am going to buy, actually I'll put those in first. I am going to buy fresh mushrooms in town when I get there later this morning, and I'll add that to the pot while it's already cooking, while it's cooking along. So it's not, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. You kind of like the mushrooms to stay large and keep their shape in any case. So there you go. So I'm going to brown up the mushrooms. Just the can, and then momentarily I will add the onions. Then we'll start to put it all together into the Dutch oven and get it into the oven. So the prep time for this is, 20 minutes, half of an hour, and then it's going to cook for about 5 hours or even longer if you cook at a very low temperature, not lower than 200, I would suggest. But put it in the oven. Some people might do this in a crock pot. It won't caramelize or get any thicker in a crock pot. So I'm going to use it in my cast iron Dutch oven in the oven. But there's all different ways that you could use, different pans that you could use. You could use a crock pot. You could use a stainless steel Dutch oven and put that in the oven, or a Corelle dish. I'm going to use my stainless steel Dutch oven because it makes food taste the best, and also makes food be higher in iron. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so the mushrooms have browned nicely. I'm going to toss those into the pot with the meat, and then I will get the onions in here browning. And toward the end of the onions, I'll add some garlic, some already chopped garlic, and we'll let all that brown just a little bit flavorfully in the bacon fat before this whole pot goes into the oven. Okay, here we go with the onions. I chopped 4 pretty good sized cooking onions. I might actually have cut more than I need. This is supposed to be beef bourguignon, not onion bourguignon. So if I end up, which I think I will for sure, with more onion than I need, I'm just going to put the rest in Ziploc bags and toss it in the fridge for next time I'm cooking. And I'll have onions already chopped. You can freeze them too. Actually, I think I'll do that. I'll freeze them in a Ziploc bag. And one day when I'm making something in a quick hurry, I'll have already chopped onion. Because that's about all the onion that I want to go into 4 pounds of beef. Okay, so the onions have browned really nicely. It is pretty astonishing to realize the difference in flavor, texture and flavor, between a raw onion and an onion that has been fried in a tiny bit of bacon fat. It's, I mean, it smells amazing. It's going to taste amazing. It's going to add fantastic flavor to our beef bourguignon. So I am going to just tip these onions into the pot, and then I'll get the pot over here where you can see it. And that will be our next step in the process. Okay. So here, let me turn that burner. Okay, So in my cast iron Dutch oven, I have got about 4 pounds of relatively tough, not tough, but we're gonna say not very tender marinating beef. I put in, I think the equivalent of about 3 chopped onions. There is some garlic in here as well. 1 can of mushrooms. Fresh mushrooms will come later in the process. And this is the pound of bacon that I fried and I crumbled. I'm gonna toss that into the pan. Okay. And then we will come back and add our carrots and our red wine, and then this will be ready for a low, slow oven. Okay, here we are with the browned meat, the bacon, the onion, the garlic, the mushrooms. I salted the meat as I went along, but I will check later to see if more salt is required. I have chopped up about 5 large carrots. Okay, there's always carrots in beef bourguignon. It looks like a lot, but they cook down to be quite a lot smaller as we roll along. So I'm gonna turn those in here. And, oh, I gotta grab the bay leaves from the cupboard. I will add at least 2 bay leaves, maybe 3 to this recipe. Here is the thyme, which came from my window garden. I cleaned it, I got rid of as much of the stem as possible. It's not possible to get it all, but it is nice fresh thyme, and it's gonna add a great flavor to our beef bourguignon, our French beef stew. And then of course it won't be beef bourguignon without wine. So I am going to add, I thought I'd get out my measuring cup just to see roughly how much wine are we looking at here. This is a liter bottle. I'm gonna add a minimum of half of it, which is 2 cups. Yeah, 16 ounces, 2 cups, half of a liter of wine. Okay, so that's gonna go in. Later on, as we're cooking and things start to blend and evaporate, I may even add some more wine. Like, that's possible to do. We'll see how it goes. I will, I'll add 2 bay leaves before I put it in the oven. I'm not gonna take camera time to do that. I'm gonna put the lid on it to get it started, and I will put it in the oven. I'm gonna put it in at 250 degrees. I don't think it needs to cook all day. I might even turn it up to 300. I'll start at 250. I'll check it in about 3 hours. I will probably at some point take the lid off as well if I want it to thicken any. And I will check to see if it needs more salt. I will check to see if it needs more wine. I might even check to see if it needs more garlic in a couple of hours, you know. We've got all day to play with this. So I'm gonna put the lid on it. I'm gonna put it in the oven at 250 degrees and just let it sit while I do all my other Saturday things, and we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck. Okay, here is our beef bourguignon. It has been in the oven for somewhere between 3 and 4 hours. Ooh, it's not dry yet. There's still liquid in it. The carrots are, I'm gonna say the carrots are tender. Yeah, the carrots are tender. The beef is certainly tender. Everything is coming along nicely. The bay leaves are in there. The thyme is in there. I just got back from town where I purchased mushrooms, Ontario mushrooms, I'm pleased to report. I'm going to take the bay leaves out right now while I see them. Ontario mushrooms, and that's the only thing left that I would say I want to add to this. So I'm going to put the mushrooms in. I'm going to turn them around, so turn them under rather, so that they are cooking with the meat and with the wine and with the spices and everything else. I'm going to add some more red wine because I certainly think that we could do so, and there's no point not to do so. I don't want it to dry out, even though the meat looks to be very tender right now. So I'm going to put all these mushrooms in. I'm going to top it off with, you know, if not all the rest of the red wine, maybe another good solid cup of red wine. Let's see. I think there's about 2 cups left in here. I'm gonna put half of what's left, another cup. I'm gonna turn the mushrooms under so that they'll cook nicely with the meat and the carrots and the onions and the garlic. I should actually taste this to see if it needs any more salt or any more garlic. I'll do that in about an hour. I'll do that next. I should have done it before I did this, but okay, so, oh, it looks good. I don't mind adding the mushrooms late because I kind of would like the mushrooms to be of a fair size and to hold their shape. So that should be fine. Okay. Ooh, it smells really good. The red wine smells really good. The bacon smells really good. Okay, so the mushrooms are in there. You know what? Maybe while I got it out, I might add a bit more red wine. Okay, let me just do that. A bit more. Not quite the whole liter, but getting close to the whole liter. Okay. Okay, I am going to leave the lid on because I don't think it's too liquidy. I'm going to leave the lid on. I'm going to put it back in the oven at 275 degrees. And we'll give it another hour or two. I did take the bay leaves out just because I could see them, and I always worry that kids especially could choke on a bay leaf. So there is the meat, the carrots, the onions, the garlic, and now there's mushrooms in there. So that's going to make it more liquidy, and the mushrooms are going to cook down. I'm going to put it back in the oven at 275 degrees and give it maybe another hour or two. And I think when I get home, it'll be perfect. So in it goes. And let's see, it's 1:30. I'm going to say by 3 o'clock, I'll be probably pulling this out of the oven and making sure that it's as thick and as delicious and as salted and as garlicky as I want it to be. Here we are at the end of the process. Oh my gosh, it turned out perfect. It tastes so good. It didn't need any more salt or any more garlic. The meat is completely tender. The carrots are completely soft. The mushrooms are quite lovely, and you know, it didn't hurt at all that I added them late into the process. Mushrooms are mushrooms, and this is just spectacularly delicious. I'm going to, you can serve this either on top of mashed potatoes, which is my family's favorite way, or you could put it on noodles, or you could put it on rice. That's pretty non-traditional, but certainly on top of mashed potatoes or noodles, or you could just serve this in a bowl, and with it you could put some nice fresh French bread. So you would have meat and bread and perhaps a salad on the side. But the beef bourguignon itself turned out to be absolutely awesome and delicious. There's nothing in here that can't freeze. There aren't any potatoes in the actual recipe, although you might serve it on potatoes. But the carrots, the beef, the mushrooms, everything can freeze perfectly well. So I'm going to freeze some of this for a family friend who could use some meals right now. And then some of it we're going to eat right away. And this is beef bourguignon. It's perfect. It's perfect in every way. Oh, let's take out the bay leaf so kids don't choke on that. Delicious and nutritious, and except for a few minutes of prep time, it was in the oven all day and I didn't even pay any more attention to it, so it's done. And it's a perfect make-ahead dish that you could serve to family at any point they might need it. And I wish that you would have a good try at it and see if you don't love yours as much as I love mine. So Rita Smith, #1 Food Fairy, signing off. Enjoy your beef bourguignon, and you know, mess around with it, try different things, but enjoy it. Be confident in the kitchen.
I'm so sick of reality TV. I'm so tired of my girlfriend ignoring me. I sure could use a little bit of company, some time away from all the wannabe celebrities, 'cause I wanna get outside and breathe some air, 'cause all